Morning arrived quietly, as though the night before had never happened. No ancient woman, no terrifying bloodlines, no warnings about becoming a monster. Just sunlight spilling across the city. Students rushing toward campus. Cars filling the streets. Normal life. Aaryan walked through the university gates with one hand in his pocket, expression calm as always. But internally, his thoughts were moving rapidly. Celine's words mattered. Not emotionally, strategically, because now he understood something important. The vampire god had not simply been powerful. He had been influential. Meaning, intelligence, money, politics, bloodlines, control, all mattered just as much as raw strength, which meant Aaryan's current direction was correct. Good. His evolving mind organized information automatically now. Connections formed instantly, possibilities expanded constantly, and honestly, felt addictive. Classroom. The moment Aaryan entered, the room became slightly quieter. Not completely silent, just aware. Girls glanced toward him immediately, some subtly, some not subtly at all, because over the past months, his transformation had become impossible to ignore. Sharper jawline, calmer eyes, natural confidence, controlled movements, combined with top academic scores, mysterious personality, emotional distance, and rumors surrounding him and Elena. He had quietly become one of the most talked-about students on campus. Aaryan ignored all of it effortlessly, because the moment he entered, his eyes found Elena automatically, near the window again, soft morning light falling across her hair, reading quietly, and the second she noticed him, her expression relaxed slightly, like she'd been unconsciously waiting for him to arrive. Dangerous. Aaryan walked toward his seat calmly. You're late. By 2 minutes. That still counts. A faint smile touched Aaryan's lips as he sat down. Interesting. There were very few people in the world comfortable enough to casually scold him. Elena handed him a notebook quietly. You missed part of yesterday's lecture. Aaryan glanced at the notes briefly. Perfectly organized. Color-coded. Clean handwriting. You did this for me? Elena blinked slightly, then looked away. You looked tired yesterday. Simple answer. But somehow, that small concern felt warmer than expected. Meanwhile, 3 rows away, someone muttered quietly, they seriously act like a married couple already. The classroom erupted into muffled laughter. Elena immediately froze. A faint blush spread across her face. Aaryan remained calm externally, though internally, he found the reaction unexpectedly amusing. The professor entered moments later, saving Elena from further embarrassment. Barely. Project announcement. Final year integrated project teams will be announced today. The classroom immediately became noisy. Excitement, complaints, panic. Engineering project groups were important. Very important. Reputation, connections, career opportunities. The professor adjusted his glasses calmly before reading the names. Then, Elena Vale. A pause. Aaryan Virel. Half the classroom immediately reacted. No way. Of course they're together again. This has to be intentional. Elena lowered her head slightly, pretending to focus on her notebook, which only made her look more suspicious. Aaryan simply leaned back calmly. Expected. The professor continued reading names. But most people had already lost interest, because the real entertainment was obvious now. After class, Elena walked beside him quietly through the hallway. This is going to make rumors worse. People were already convinced. That doesn't help. You care too much about other people's opinions. Elena looked at him briefly, then sighed softly. That's easy for you to say. Fair point. Aaryan genuinely did not care what most people thought, which was probably abnormal. Then Elena glanced sideways slightly. Are you at least not bothered by it? Aaryan looked at her for a second, then answered simply, not when it's about you. Silence. Complete silence. Elena stopped walking for half a second, her brain visibly processing what he'd just said. Meanwhile, Aaryan continued walking normally, entirely unaware of the damage he'd caused. By the time he realized Elena wasn't beside him anymore, her face was already slightly red. "You say dangerous things very casually." Aaryan tilted his head slightly. "Was that dangerous?" Elena stared at him for several seconds, then quietly laughed under her breath. "You really don't realize it." Interesting. Aaryan genuinely didn't. And somehow, that made him even worse. Later that evening, inside his apartment, multiple holographic market charts glowed across Aaryan's laptop screen. His investments were rising faster than expected. Not dramatically yet, but steadily, efficiently. The cybersecurity company had already increased 11%. Aaryan analyzed another dataset calmly. Then suddenly, blood sense activated. Someone was nearby again. But this signature was familiar, warm, balanced, human. Aaryan walked toward the apartment door quietly, opened it. Elena stood outside holding 2 bags of food. "You skipped lunch again." Aaryan blinked once. Interesting. Not because she came, because somehow, without noticing, he had started expecting her presence in his life already. For a moment, neither spoke. Elena stood outside the apartment door holding food bags while rain fell softly behind her. Warm light from the hallway framed her figure quietly. And strangely, the scene felt more dangerous to Aaryan than fighting hidden creatures. Because this, he didn't understand properly yet. "You're staring." Aaryan blinked once, then stepped aside calmly. "Come in." Elena entered carefully. The moment she stepped inside, her eyes moved instinctively across the apartment. Small room, minimal furniture, old walls, one overworked laptop glowing near the table. No decorations, no comfort, no signs someone actually lived here emotionally. Her chest tightened slightly, because suddenly, she understood something. Aaryan wasn't distant because he disliked people. He simply grew up alone. The realization hurt more than expected. Meanwhile, Aaryan took the food from her hands quietly. "You came all the way here just because I skipped lunch?" Elena removed her shoes near the door naturally, like she already belonged here somehow. "You skip meals whenever you focus too much. You notice too much. That's because you hide too much." Silence. A dangerous answer, because she was right. Aaryan looked at her quietly for a moment, then placed the food on the table. Interesting. Normally people's concern irritated him, felt intrusive, controlling, but with Elena, felt warm, unfamiliar. Dinner. The rain outside continued softly. The apartment remained quiet except for occasional sounds of traffic beyond the window. Elena sat across from him while opening containers calmly. "You really need a better place. This one works. It barely qualifies as living. I'm usually not here long enough to care." Elena's movements slowed slightly. Again, that strange feeling. Every time Aaryan spoke casually about himself, there was always exhaustion underneath, like he had spent his entire life surviving instead of living. She looked down quietly for a second, then asked softly, "Do you ever rest?" Aaryan paused slightly. Interesting question. He thought about hunting at night, studying constantly, building financial systems, analyzing bloodlines, growing stronger endlessly, then answered honestly, "Not really." Elena stared at him quietly. "That's not healthy. It's efficient. That's not the same thing." Silence settled between them again, but not uncomfortable silence. Never uncomfortable. And honestly, that was becoming dangerous for both of them, because emotional comfort creates attachment faster than excitement ever does. Later, Elena eventually stood near the apartment window, watching rain slide slowly across the glass. The city lights reflected softly around her. Aaryan looked up briefly from his laptop, then stopped typing entirely. Beautiful. Not dramatically, not unrealistically, just quietly beautiful. And for the first time in a very long time, Aaryan felt something unfamiliar. Stillness. No calculations. No ambition. No violence. Just peace. Dangerous. Very dangerous. As though sensing his gaze, Elena turned slightly toward him. What? Aaryan held her eyes for a second, then answered calmly, nothing. Elena narrowed her eyes slightly, clearly unconvinced. But before she could continue, her attention shifted toward the laptop screen. Financial charts, investment structures, corporate data. Her eyes widened slightly. What exactly are you working on? Aaryan considered the question briefly, then closed the laptop halfway. Future plans. Elena walked closer slowly. You've been acting strange lately. A pause. Not bad strange. Her voice softened slightly, just distant. The room became quieter, because that sentence hit more accurately than expected. Aaryan looked at her silently for several seconds, thinking carefully, not because he wanted to lie, because for the first time, he wanted someone to understand him. And that was dangerous. There are things I can't explain yet. Elena didn't respond immediately. Then finally, okay. Aaryan blinked once. Interesting. No pressure. No demands. No emotional manipulation. Just trust. And somehow, that affected him more than questions would have. Elena smiled faintly. You'll tell me eventually. Not, you have to. Just, eventually. Like she already believed he would. Aaryan looked away slightly toward the rain outside. Dangerous. Because for someone like him, trust was harder to survive than enemies. Midnight. Elena eventually fell asleep on the small couch beside the window. Laptop still open near her. Project notes scattered across the table. Rain continuing softly outside. Aaryan stood silently nearby for several moments. Watching. Peaceful. No fear. No manipulation. No hidden intentions. Just her. Then slowly, very carefully, he placed a blanket over her shoulders. The movement made Elena stir slightly in her sleep. Aaryan. His hand paused briefly. Even half asleep, she sounded calmer when saying his name. Interesting. Very interesting. Aaryan stood there quietly for a moment longer, then finally looked toward the city beyond the rain-covered windows. His eyes darkened slightly, because somewhere out there, ancient bloodlines moved, hidden monsters waited, clans watched him grow, and eventually, they would try taking everything from him. The thought should have made him colder, more focused, more ruthless. Instead, his gaze shifted briefly back toward Elena sleeping peacefully nearby. And for the first time, Aaryan realized something important. I don't want this world touching her. The realization settled heavily inside him. Protectiveness. Dangerous. Because powerful people always gained weaknesses eventually. And tonight, Aaryan Virel found his first one.